Okay, welcome back. This is Black and Brown in the Woods, going outside to heal inside. And this is episode number 5. You heard it right, number 5. We've been through different episodes. I've honored different individuals, and it's just really been a blessing to go through this process because Black and Brown in the Woods is about honoring our community, sheroes, heroes, and folks who just provide impact to families. And the bigger part of that, when we talk about going outside to heal inside, Black and Brown in the Woods was created through an idea to bring Black and Brown individuals to a space to honor them, but it was deeply connected to the individuals that I were able to support in my camp setting that was in the woods. So this is all connected in some form of a way, because when we take you outside to heal inside, that means we're doing some actual work. Today, I'm excited, y'all. I'm so excited. And I'm also grateful for this too, because as I honor different individuals that mean a lot to me, when I'm on the outside looking in of their work, it is really special for me to just feel their work, see their work, but know their work, just know what they're doing. And the way I know their work is by knowing the person.
Mhm.
And today we are going to be honoring Dr. J for all the work that she has done. She is a mother, she is a grandmother, she is a therapist, she is a mentor, she is a lovely human being all around. And I'm sure I'm missing other accolades that she is going to mention. But what I'm trying to say here is that we are honoring someone who deserves it. So, Dr. J, welcome to Black and Brown in the Woods. Thank you for allowing us to honor you for the month of May, for Mental Health Awareness Month. And who other than to honor Dr. J in this space? I mean, I think that is like spot on, correct way to go about the month of May. So thank you for joining us. Welcome to the space. How you feeling today?
I feel good, Mr. Adam. I feel real good today, and I'm honored that you chose me to be the spotlight for May, Mental Health Month, which is something that the Black and Brown community don't always honor and don't always feel comfortable with being in. But it is so necessary and required, especially when they see Black and Brown people talking about it. Maybe it will give them the ability to feel more comfortable to go and get the help that they need.
That's right. And Dr. J, as we mentioned, this is part of giving you your flowers for all the amazing work. I ran down a few accolades, titles. Did I miss anything in there? I want to just honor you in that space. What did I miss, Dr. J?
I'm also a professor at Governor State University. I teach beginning counselors and I teach the not only the beginning classes, but I teach the clinical classes. I sit with in practicum and internship and live supervision where they go in and meet with couples and families and they come out and get live supervision from me, which I love the supervision classes. I'm also teaching in the doctoral program, the nonprofit social entrepreneurial track. So I teach doc students as well. This semester, we're talking about them developing their strategic plans on how to build a nonprofit and what that looks like. I also am a coach. I coach people, and I've been fortunate enough and blessed enough to been working and getting a place where all of this can take place at a spot that God has given me. And so I'm working on getting contractors to give me quotes for the building because it needs to be refurbished. And in that building, all of those services that you kind of talked about, we will be hosting in this space and in this place. So I do a lot, but I love what I do. Oh, and I also have a nonprofit organization that focuses in on women and the needs of women, not only to help them obtain goals, but be sustained in those goals. So I think that's it. Oh, I'm a wife too. I think, yeah, a wife,
Yeah, there
a
you go.
wife,
That
a wife of 35 years to one husband, my husband, Christopher Edwards, who is my friend, my lover, my protector. He is the rock for our family. So I'm very, very fortunate.
I love that. And see, that's why I wanted you to run it down a little for me. Because, I think part of it is I know some of those accolades, but there might be some I'm missing, right? And it just be the real deal as well. Dr. J is the real deal. We honoring Dr. J because she is the real deal. What she says she is doing, she is actually doing, y'all. So it's saying that, Dr. J, I love starting these Black and Brown in the Wood episodes with our tagline. Our tagline is going outside to heal inside.
Hmm.
As you know, because your child was a recipient of my program, they attended
Hmm.
my programs in the past. Camp was a big part of my history and the things I've done. I feel Black and Brown in the Woods is coined Black and Brown in the Woods due to camp. I
Hmm.
guess when you hear that tagline, going outside to heal inside, how does that resonate for Dr. J?
Hmm. Going outside to heal inside. When I hear that, I think about sometimes we have to go outside. So my mother always told us, you're not in a box. You don't live in a box. So for us and living in the projects in this south side of Chicago, she gave us books. So we were, when I say she gave us books, she gave us Pimps Up, Hoes Down, Cabrini Green, Harlequin Romance, magazines, newspapers. She wanted
Mm,
us, although we lived in the hood, to not be in the hood,
mm,
to go outside to see that there was something outside, that the hood would not be our anchor to the world, that going outside. And so for me as an adult, I constantly push myself outside of my comfort zone to experience other cultures, to experience other environments, other communities, other people's, other thoughts. And I get that a lot as a counselor when people come in and they begin to share their life and their experiences. Sometimes going outside in my counseling session heals me,
mm.
providing services to people, being honest, being present with them allows me sometimes to heal from stuff that I didn't even know I needed to heal from. Another example would be I was at church and a young woman they were asking me like, what do you do? And I was saying like, I grew up, I ain't fool around with women. I ain't like women, blah, 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 blah. And her comment was, well, then that would make me think about what type of person are you if you can't connect with the
Mm.
females. And it took me back to a point of girls were always mean to me and said mean and nasty things, which in my hurt, my protection was to block them out. And then working at the church, when my pastor made me mentor the young women, took me outside of my protective shield. And
Mm.
in that, I learned that little Jeanetta was still hurting and she needed to be healed. And so then I began on my healing journey when I was mentoring these young women, stepping outside of my protective shield to help other young women, help
Mm.
little Jeanetta to get healed.
I love that, Dr. J. So, I asked this question to all the individuals that I honored thus far. And what I'm getting from you when you were saying that, what I kind of envisioned was the going outside for you was the individuals, whether it was your amazing mom, and I always love hearing stories about your mom, or someone who pushed you out of your comfort zone, to help you go outside. It's almost
Hmm.
looking outside as outside your comfort zone and
Hmm.
bringing it back inside in terms of what you took from going outside your comfort
Hmm.
zone. I so appreciate that because when we were thinking of a tagline for the podcast, that one was always one that resonated with me and the individual who helped me create the tagline.
Hmm.
And it
Hmm.
was really because as many kids I saw at camp enjoy themselves, right? Because there was tons of children who went to camp and they went there solely just to enjoy themselves, taking the activities, get a break from their parents. And there was some who did that like very well, like they in and out. took care of the business, went back home, was happy to see. I think there was others in that space who went to camp for beyond the activities. It was an escapism, right? It was one of those things that allowed them to get away from their circumstances, especially when I ran Camp Rosenthal, where a lot of the children who were coming to that program were going home to home, not knowing where home is, because they
Mm-hmm.
were all within a system, right? A foster care system.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was important for me as they came there that we provided some healing. I knew that there was the camper there who had, the parent who signed him up, who brought him to camp, who had him fully prepared. And then I knew I had the camper who came to camp with no suitcase, no clothes, right? No blanket. And so I knew that there was something for both of them that I needed to provide in that
Mm-hmm.
going outside to heal inside. But
Mm-hmm.
it also put me in the perspective that I wasn't just running activities and providing like entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
In that space, we can go deeper and we can actually heal kids, right? We can
Mm-hmm.
actually heal parts of them and things like that. So, one, I appreciate you sharing your insights on that. Part of Black and Brown in the Woods is that we ask the person we are honoring 5 questions.
Okay.
I send you these 5 questions. I'm going to roll through them. I'm going to mix them up a little.
Okay.
And, I have the privilege and honor to do a couple segments with you. We did an amazing segment on the Evolution of Love series, which is still out there. So please check it out because Dr. J did some things. She dropped some gems on that segment. And in that segment, and a few other conversations we had in your Partners of Healing, you did the Who's Helping You Heal segment where, you talked about your mom and the amazing person she was in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You also shared, your journey starting as a single mother at age 17,
Mm-hmm.
right? So my question to that was, what was the turning point that made you realize you weren't just surviving? You were being called to build something greater.
When I got called to mentor those young teenagers at church, and what was so pivotal for me is that the child that I had when I was 17, she wasn't in that group when Pastor came running out of the pulpit. That's your ministry over there. And I'm like, no. My daughter was part of that group, but she wasn't at church that day. He had no idea. She was like sending me through all kind of like, oh my God, this child that I had, that this cute little baby girl that grew up and was 16 and making me just not want to be around her, right? Bright, intelligent, smart, attending Whitney Young, cutting classes left and right. I'm picking up her report card, crying in front of the lady because she got all D's and F's. And she cut in class, and the teacher says, she'll cut 3 days. She'll come on the day of the test, take the test, and pass it. That type of intelligence, and it was breaking my heart that I felt like she was throwing her life away, right? And so one day I was praying on the altar for my daughter. Lord, save my daughter, save her, please save her from myself. And I heard God say, get up. And I'm like, okay, that can't be God telling me to get up. I'm praying, right? I'm praying, and I heard it again, get up. When I got up, those young women that pastor told me to mentor were surrounding me while I was bending down on the altar. He says, if you pour into them, I'm going to pour into your daughter. He said, pour
Mm,
into them, and I'm going to send your daughter just what she needs. And it didn't manifest immediately. I had to pour into those young women, help them move, get them out of abusive situations, buy food for them, buy clothes for their children, and teach a class on character for 3 straight years. And Pastor kept making me start over because for 3 or 4 weeks, I would have the same people. And then those people will wane away, and I get another set of people. And Pastor said, you got to start over. So it
mm,
took me 3 years to get through a book that should have only took me about 3 months, right? And that book wasn't for them, it was for me. I learned about character. I learned how important my character was. And I kept pouring into them young women. And eventually my daughter moved away to Arizona, and God gave her a Latina mentor at her job, an older
Okay.
woman who pulled her in and helped her while she was down there and gave her what she needed. So that's when I realized that, okay, this is what I need to do. Everything I learned as a teenage mom, everything my mother poured and beat into me, and not physically, but every lesson that my mother gave me on being a mother, on being a woman, a Black woman, and how to conduct myself in corporate America, I had to go and share with somebody else.
Mm.
And as I began to share with them, I think I was maybe 8 or 9 years into the mentoring, and God gave me Mother's Love, which is the name of my nonprofit. I'm driving and I heard it clear as day, Mother's Love. I'm like, "Mother's Love." There's nothing like the love of a mother, right? And
Hmm.
so that's what I got out of that. That 17-year-old teenage mom struggled to be a mom, but had a mother who demanded her to be a mom, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, you was okay. You gonna be a mama at 17, but you gonna get up, you gonna feed her, you gonna clothe her. My mother didn't baby me. She didn't give me an out. She didn't babysit for me to go hang out with my friends. I only got a babysitter when I went to work and when I went to school. Those were the rules. My mother was very, I thought it was harsh at the time, but it was very instrumental in designing and creating me to be who I am today. So I believe that is hopefully that kind of answered your question about being 17 and how I came to be who I am today and understanding the lessons I needed to learn at 17.
Yeah, no, Dr. J, that the piece that you mentioned about like hearing that voice and that voice saying to you, like, if you feed this space, this feeding will have right. It's almost like, and I only ask that or bring that back up because it really, to me, that's really powerful. One, that
Hmm.
you were able to even hear the voice, um, accept the voice,
Hmm.
and follow it. And as you mentioned, it sounded like it wasn't an overnight thing. It needed longevity for it to fall into place so you could see it actually manifest, especially on your daughter's end with
Hmm.
obtaining the job and the mentor. And so now that definitely answered that. And I know that, you know, we also did a segment with Dr. Claire, and I got to sit in on just like how how she sees you, how she admires you. Um, and I think she even mentioned like she's seen you grow through things, grow, and she used the word grow through.
Hmm.
And I know that she looks at you with the eyes of this person's amazing, right? And so, I take what you're sharing there, and then I think of that conversation of how Dr. Claire looked up to you. And I guess, just to add on to question number one here, I guess how does that feel for you, right? Like, your journey. You've been through it. You passed those hard times, and not that there's not other challenging moments, but there's some defining hard moments in our life that really define, I believe, pieces of us. How does that make you feel in terms of like the reflection I'm sharing with you of what Deborah shared about you, you answering this question with that voice that came to you like at 17, right? I guess how does that, I guess thinking about that in the granular size, the bigger picture size, how's that make you feel?
It makes me feel honored and blessed to know that being obedient and I believe in seed time and harvest. I believe that if I plant in good ground, I will receive a harvest, right? And with seed time and harvest, you have to be careful of the ground you plant in because not every ground is fertile. Not every
Mm.
ground is going to yield. Some ground is going to yield weeds. And you have to understand, okay, now I can't do that again. I need to rethink my planting. Um, and so when I see Deborah and I hear some of the things she say about the relationship, our relationship and the journey, it takes me back to every situation that I've experienced and everything I've been through, it wasn't just for me. It was not just for me. The struggle that I had with my daughter, she had very similar struggles with her daughter. Had I not
Mm,
walked that path, I wouldn't have been able to tell a girl, you're gonna come through. It's gonna be all right. All right. Um, struggles with a blended family. Had I not gone through those struggles with a blended family, I couldn't have told her and other women it's gonna be all right. And I would tell God, God, you a comedian, because I don't find this funny that I'm experiencing this or that I've experienced this,
mm,
and people are watching you without you knowing they're watching you, and come and say, how did you get through that? I told you, you just look like it wasn't a big deal. Breast cancer. When I went through breast cancer, I would post certain stuff on Facebook. Here it is. It's been 5 years being breast free from breast cancer. And I have people come and say, man, it was your testimony on Facebook. Now that I'm
mm,
going through this, that I've decided to talk about it, that you helped me. You don't know who watching you. You just have to do what I've learned. I have to do whatever God tells me to do. Some of this stuff I don't want to talk about. I don't want to be always talking about my business or some of the things I went through, but then God said, uh-huh, this is the case. Uh-huh, this is the
mhm,
situation. And I'll tell people, I'm like, yeah, I wasn't planning on talking about that. I wasn't trying to share all my business. But those particular situations, and then I'll turn around and say, God, you real funny. Okay.
mm,
So I had to experience that because you knew 5 or 10 years later, somebody's going to come with that same situation and say, how do you get through this? And what better way to say, God is not no respecter person. If he'll help me bring me through it, he'll bring you through it too.
mm,
It might not be exactly the same method, but I trust in God and whatever he tell you to do it. Well, how do you hear the voice of God? Are you reading his word? He gonna speak to you through his word. So that is what I see through Deborah. Deborah is one of the living testimonies and probably the closest mentee that I've had for this long, that I've watched her grow as she watched me. I've watched her transcend, and it come from love. That four-letter word. You love somebody enough, you will give them the good, bad, the ugly, and indifferent.
for sure.
You can't always be nicey all the time. That's why I tell people about mentorship. People think, no, it ain't nice all the time. Sometimes you got to check people. You got to let them know, no, you out of order. That's
Mm,
what the women did in the neighborhood. When I talk about community, I talk about the women in the neighborhood who will pull me to the side. Come here. Why you got that little skirt on? Why you out here like that? What is you? That's what they did. That's what the women in the neighborhood did. Come here. What you think you doing?
yeah.
You out of order. Get yourself together. Why is she talking to? Now, of course, I ain't say that to them. Who she thinks she talking to? She ain't my mama. But I sure didn't do that again in front of that lady.
Mm,
So that's kind of what I've learned, and it touches my heart dearly to hear um Deborah reference to me and talk about some of the things, because you forget some of the stuff you do it because you've been called to do it. This is my mantle. I
yeah.
swing my mantle. I just swing the mantle. That's all I know how to do is swing the mantle.
Which is a leeway to my next question. Question number
Okay.
two for Dr. J, and honoring you, and yeah, just to speak, to recap what we were just sharing there, like I think everything you shared and just your acknowledgement of it, and I know you're saying it in a very humble way. I was able to witness someone you really impacted, right? And so I just want to just put that out there, like, you could pop your collar today because we honoring you. Yeah, pop that collar, Dr. J. But leeway to the next question, and I've heard you say this, and I really appreciate working on the whole person, healing the whole person. I think that's one, just beautiful to say, right? The focus, the intentionality of the whole person, because we don't really always focus on the entire person. in that sense, what does it truly mean to you to heal the whole person? And why is that so important to Dr. J within a community to have that?
So mental, physical, and spiritual. We're spiritual beings in human bodies, right? And so I'm a systems person. And so I look at the whole system. Everything that affects me needs to be addressed. If my mental is not healthy, then I can't even begin to think about my physical. Okay. If I'm not grounded in my spiritual self, then the mental and the physical not gonna matter anyway. So for me, I need the I need all of that. It's important to me to be able to be strong enough, to be clairvoyant enough, to be, and I'm real big on not wanting my mess to be somebody else's mess. So I constantly am evaluating me. I'm my biggest critic, right? Evaluating me. And for me to be who I am, my spiritual grounding, it must be the first thing I do. When my
Mm.
feet hit the floor in the morning, that's what I do. I am getting spiritually grounded. I'm reading my scripture. I'm praying, and I'm a gospel music person. I love all music, but in the morning, for me to get grounded, I'm praying, I'm reading scripture, I'm listening to my gospel music, I'm getting dressed, I'm thinking about, what I need to do, how I need to do it, what my agenda is. I'm very driven by my appointment book. Um, so in order for me to be a good wife, to be a good mother, to be a good grandmother, to be a good friend, I need to be a good me. I
Mm.
can't, none of that other stuff is possible if I am not whole and complete for me. Now, my wholeness and completeness might not be yours.
Yeah.
So I need to be grounded in me because being grounded in me helps me to do what it is I've been called to do. And so I tell people, whatever it is that grounds you, get that, hold on to that. Let that be what gets you ready in the morning. Sometimes, now I'm not saying sometimes we don't jump up late and we run around, but you have to have something that feeds your spiritual man, your physical man. Do I always eat right? No, I'm not gonna lie and say that. Am I a physical? I like to work out. I love to work out, but my current situation, watching my grandbaby in the morning, I don't have the time to work out. I like going to spin class. I like kickboxing. I like walking into nature. I like seeing the deers out early in the morning. I love
Mm.
all that. So doing that keeps my physical and my spiritual, and my mental, because I am a mental person. I use my brain all day long, right? I'm always thinking. So to be in a place like walking outside or riding a bike, on the spin class and they playing some house music and I'm on the bike and I can't sweat and I can't breathe all at the same time, my brain is not on 500, right? Um, so various different things are necessary for me at different times in my life. When I was 20, it was something else. When I was 30, it was something else. When I was 40, it was something else. Now, at the age of 60 years old, when my feet hit the floor, and sometimes even before, I'm giving honor to God. Thank you, Lord, because some people didn't make it.
That's right.
Reading scripture, grounding myself to be the best me I can be because I'm out here teaching. I want to make sure I'm not teaching the wrong stuff. I'm out here counseling. I want to make sure I'm not making people's lives worse than what it is. I'm out here mentoring and, building programs and trying to change the world one person at a time. So that's a heavy lift. And when you out here doing heavy lifting, you got to be strong enough. You got to be in that gym. You got to be strong enough. Like when my 40s, I felt like, I was deadlifting. I could deadlift, real good. By the time I was 50, I was like, yes, yes. By the time I'm 60, I'm like, yeah, nah, ain't got nothing for me. Come on, what else you got, right?
Sure.
So that's kind of what grounds me, Adam, and what keeps me mentally, physically, and spiritually. My whole system needs to work at high
Yeah.
efficiency at all times because there's so much God has called me to do.
Yeah. And it sounds like, the way you go about that whole person and the meaning for it and the importance, it obviously starts with you first. Like your whole person being in order, right, to support the next whole person kind of deal. And that's kind of what I got from what you were saying there, Dr. J, is like, that work and the importance of it, the beginning of it is you. Like, putting that in alignment so that you can provide those gems, provide those things that allow the person you're supporting within the work that you do, right? Like you do
Mhm.
amazing work, that they're in that one, they're getting the support from you in what they reached out to you for in services. But on the other end, you know, they know they're getting that whole person that they like you working like you're not just talking about working on the whole person, you're actually showing it. It's a
Mhm.
role modeling of sense of like because I think so many times there's a lot of great people out there, and I call it lip service. You know what I'm talking about. Like,
Yes.
they talk like they have great advice, solid advice. You're like, "Man, advice pretty good." Then you just wonder if they really follow it. Are they living those same words they're sharing other people? They're giving to other folks to say, hey, use this to change your life type deal. It also makes me think of like the spaces you created that didn't exist when you needed them. It makes
Hmm.
me think of that as well. And so the next question number 3, what's one thing you always tell young women who feel like they don't fit or belong?
The space for you to fit and belong is being created. Just wait on it. It's coming.
Hmm.
Stay your true self. Stay your true self. I tell my beginning counselors, don't be fake and phony because a client gonna know when you being fake and phony.
Hmm.
They people are hurting and they need you to be genuine, right? So for young women, because I didn't always feel like I fit and I thought something was wrong with me, but found out I wasn't supposed to fit. That wasn't for me. Um, and what's for you is coming. A woman told me, what you seeking is also seeking you.
Hmm. I like
So
that.
we don't always supposed to fit in when we're peculiar people not supposed to fit in every situation, right? I don't want to be matchy matchy. I don't want to be like everybody else. It's good to be different. I don't have to be what everybody else has called me to be because what I've been called, because who I am is the perfect mix for those who seek in what I have.
Hmm.
I don't have to fight other counselors about clients because there are clients out there that nobody can help but me. And that's not being cocky, that's just being real,
Yeah.
right? There's
Hmm.
other like people that you serve. There's other people doing maybe something similar, but they can't poach up the people that's supposed to come to you because you have everything in your life has brought you to be who you are today. And that in your life is something somebody out here needs. So it's okay to be different. It's okay not to fit in. And I'm not talking about the not fit in, not being kind, loving, giving, respectful. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you don't have to follow the masses. You don't have to
Hmm.
be a Kardashian. You don't have to be a this. You don't have to be a that. Be your own self. Create your own space, right? And the people will come
Hmm.
for that particular service or for that particular whatever you have in that space. I didn't know that there was going to be a space made for me. I thought I was supposed to run a Fortune 500 company. Now I'm building my own Fortune 500 company. I don't need this. Who knew
Mm.
that everything I was getting from corporate America would be the very thing that would help me in operations and knowing how to operate my own Fortune 500 company?
That's right. That's right.
So I don't need somebody to let me do anything. I'm gonna do my own thing.
Yeah. And seeing that right there, just what you said there, and the confidence in your delivery of saying that just speaks to why we're honoring you today, right? That's why we're giving you your virtual flowers, Dr. J, because as calm as you are, I feel like behind you there's this shadow of a big ass lion who's just roaring. While you're calm, there's this lion behind you just roaring. It's kind of like that Key and Peele segment where with Barack Obama and he has the guy who's a little more hood, just like a little more fierce, I want to say,
Right,
a little
right,
more
right.
and I really feel that when you talk, when you're speaking and I get that. And it just speaks to one for me, um, the solid woman you are,
Mhm.
just the strength that you compose and obviously our trials and tribulations and things that we go through at the moment, although hard and maybe sometimes takes a little bit of our spirit away. Obviously, in the longevity of those things come back and later become some success story or something that allows us to package and give to someone else so they don't go through it. And that's what I
Absolutely.
got from that question number three of what you would share with our young women. And I brought that question to the forefront because I know how important women are to you. Although
Mhm.
I know you shared in a few segments, like, I don't really like them much. That
But
tone changed.
that was as a young woman, that was my protection, because women were the ones who would say, you ugly, you fat, you black, you bald head, you this. Men didn't say that. That was the women. And so that was my protection. But now I love my sister. And I don't have a lot of women who are in my close circle, but I
Yeah.
love that. And it's very, like I said, you're very therapeutic. You don't even know how therapeutic and prophetic you are. So I used to keep the lion the lioness in a cage. I used to cage her up because when she got out, she didn't know how to act. So, and then people would take advantage of me because of my kind and demeanor. And then I realized one day, oh no, she need to come out. And so I had to learn how to let her out little bit by little bit so she could be trained. And
Yeah.
so we we walk in tangent now.
Hmm.
And I can be a lion when I need to be a lion, but I can also be very subtle when I need to be subtle. And I've
Mm.
learned to say what I mean and mean what I say and be confident in that because I wasn't always, and I didn't realize she was that person. She was my protector. She was that
Mm.
one who gave me the strength and the power to do what God had called me to do and to um, take out them vipers and take out them sharpshooters who was coming for me. She
Yeah.
saw them. I was like, oh no, be nice, And she was like, no, shut them down. Do
Mm.
not let them treat you like that. Handle that business, right? And so we walk in tangent now, and not everybody can see that, Adam.
Oh, I see it. It is like it's literally standing behind you, just almost with a paw on your shoulder, or something like just waiting. And I see it in a different light, right? Like,
Mhm.
obviously I'm not feeling the wrath that is not so great. I'm feeling the wrath that's like, woo, there's a confidence here that stands behind you, but still within you. And it's like you said, y'all walking together now. And I
Mhm.
feel that. I saw that. Like visually, I felt like I saw that when you were speaking. And I also recognize that Dr. Claire acknowledges that in you as well. I think she, in her own way, said it in her words, but
Mhm.
to the next question, question number four here, Dr. J. Um, you have a saying that really impacted me for many reasons, but the most important reason is because it had the word mother in it. And, you and I talked about our moms. I'm a mama's boy. Mom's was my pops. I'm a fatherless child. So, I was raised by my mother and only by my mother. And, the saying is if you save a mother, you save a community. First, hands down, powerful, powerful. It resonates in different ways for me, makes me think in different ways. And it also makes me think of my mom. And, I think of when I think of what with that saying and when I think of my mom, it makes me resonate of like the amazing human being she was, but the flaws that she had as a parent because of the circumstances she faced alone. Right. So when I think of your saying, I think of that, right? I think of
Hmm.
that. And I also know just from speaking to you, we have a mutual fond love of our mothers, and I know that you have a fond love of your mother. When you came up with this saying and you were thinking of, when you say this and you're hearing how it resonates for me, right? When you're delivering that outward with the lion behind you, Dr. J, I guess where's that coming from? What it is, do you feel that spiritually something that your mom is throwing into your body? Do you feel that's just coming from nothing but Dr. J's heart and soul? Why did it come about? I guess I want to know the why of that saying, right?
So my mother, after my dad died, we lived in a community, 41st and St. Lawrence. Every aunt, uncle, and cousin lived with us. My mother fed the whole community. I'm like, why is we feeding these people? They hungry, you feed them. They ain't got nowhere to stay. They need some place to stay, right? We would go stand in food lines and get food, and then people would come who was too embarrassed to stand in the food line would come to our house and eat the food we made from the boxes and bags we got from the food deposit.
Mm,
So many people come back and say, R. Kelly's, we grew up with R. Kelly. My sister and brother went to school with him, and his sister, Teresa, she got kicked out of school. She was scared to tell her mama. Guess who took her back to school and got her in school? My mama.
mm,
Um, when people were being abused and neglected at their homes, these kids, who do you think they came and stayed with? Us. My mother was very community oriented. When Harold Washington got voted in, my mother was on the front lines, right? My mother was a proponent of you need to know your rights. My mother talked to, she helped people in the community. She clothed people in the community. She fed people in the community. Although I'm very community oriented, I didn't handle it the way my mom handled it. My sister
mm,
handles it different. My brother handles it different. I am a proponent of the mother is the heart of the family. We make the family beat. The dad is the protector. He out there roaring. Like a lioness don't do all that roaring. She ain't got to roar like that. Her and her other lion is gonna go hunt and they're gonna bring food back for the family. That's community, right? So I thought about that when I thought about my mother and some of the women in the neighborhood that I grew up with. And a lot of them were single moms and how they would go to the city and get the lunch program and had a lunch program and make sure all the kids had sandwiches and little lunch bags. And well, I know y'all got extra kids, so I'm gonna give y'all extra bags and them fried bologna sandwiches and that government cheese. And so one mother with the right heart can change the heart of several people around her. And a community don't have to be on the same street. And we kind of talked about that earlier. One mother with a heart of love can touch another mother and train that mother, can touch another mother and train that mother. And we have the ability to shift the whole community, right?
mm,
Rosa, Deborah's mother-in-law, gave to me, I gave to her, and the circle perpetuated, right?
yep.
Rose and both of us were the oldest. Both of us had mothers who were very strict, very handled the business, right? So Rosa and I together were able to give to other young women. And
Mm.
and so I see some of the young women that grew up with my daughter who are owning their own businesses, are married, who are changing the trajectory of their families, who I had a young lady tell me the other day, she was like, I'm gonna buy a house. She was, and they call me TT. And I had one of my Latin students tell me, you must be Puerto Rican. I said, why do you say that? Because they call you TT. I said, okay, I'm all good with that. And so all the young ladies call me TT. She's like, TT, I'm about to buy this house. And it wasn't because my mother showed me how to do it. She said, I
Yeah.
watched you. She said, I
Mm.
know how to do a budget because you showed me how to do a budget.
Yeah.
You set me down and said, look, you need to learn how to do this. You need to learn how to do that. How much money you got? How'd you win it? Just some of the stuff that I do with these young women. And so when they come back and say things to me like that, so I can save a community. One woman, if you change the life of a woman, she has
Mm.
the ability to change a community, to change generations. I'm the first person in our bloodline with a doctorate degree.
Mm.
My son is in school to become a doctor. I'm changing to the trajectory of our family generational bloodline. It is
Hmm.
not everything that I do is not just about me. It's about my grandchildren and my great grandchildren. I'm building a table where they gonna eat on. My great grandchildren gonna eat off this table.
Mm.
Setting things in place, taking the knowledge that we have, and not excluding the men at all because we need them. I'm not one of them women. All women, no, that's a lie. I ain't saying that at all by any means. I need the brethren, right? I need my husband. I need my sons. I need my
Mm.
uncles. I need them, right?
Hmm.
But what I'm saying is my assignment is women. And so I'm pulling young women aside and say, okay, you want to build a business? Okay. How are you budgeting your everyday life? Do you
Mm.
have a budget? Or are you living above your means and living check to check? How can we change that? If we can't manage home, how you gonna manage a business?
Mm.
If you can't handle $5, how you gonna get 500? So it's the little people think it's a lot of big things, and it can be the big things. It's those little things and building a foundation that's sturdy. Again, I can get you there, but how do you get sustained there? You can
Mm.
get in the rooms, but how do you get sustained in the rooms? Okay, I had to talk to get in the rooms, but do you got to talk to stay in the room? Because
Mm.
you did all that talk to get in the room, and then you come in and you ain't got nothing to show for it.
Yeah. No, Dr. J, yet again, that has layers to it, what you're sharing there.
Hmm.
As simple as I can read the saying and it's powerful and just reading it and saying it, but like there's bigger thought to that, beyond just the natural words that are put together and what you get from it. And yeah, no, I think the power of that, of I use your mother for example, right? Seemed like was a pillar of the community,
It was.
and as she was being that pillar, sometimes it's a pillar, sometimes it's a beacon of light, right? It becomes something, an anchor, one of those good anchors, that the
Yep.
magnetic anchor, right?
Yep.
It was something, and then that one person, your mother, leaves this footprint of a giant, right? It's like a footprint of a giant in the community, and then her daughter steps into it and makes the footprint bigger.
Hmm.
So as much as like I take the saying and what the powerful layers of it, man, it goes back to your mom, Dr. J.
The wind beneath my wings.
Can
The wind beneath
we honor your mom? What's your mom's name again, Dr. J?
Ethel Thompson.
Okay. All right.
The wind beneath my wings. When I tell you she put her foot in my back and she said, oh, yes, you will. There's no such word as I can't. Yes, you
Mm.
will. Yes, you can. Yes, you will. That's all I will hear.
Yeah, she's like she was your lion before your lion arrived.
That.
Yeah, that's
I saw
beautiful.
her and her other friends hunt, them lioness out there hunting, take care of their
Uh-huh.
families. I was like, okay, yeah.
That's what it's
Yeah,
about.
that's what it's about.
No, that's beautiful. Well, we're at number 5 question here,
Okay.
Dr. J. And this I have to say, and this is not just because I'm honoring you, because I don't throw fallacies or false information out there. I really feel like this segment is really allowing me to get to know you even differently.
Good.
Not that you haven't, you shared a bunch of nuggets I've heard before in different little conversations, but like there's I don't think I saw your lying until today, until this segment.
Mm.
I never mentioned the lion to you before,
Nope. Nope.
right?
Mm-mm.
So
Nope.
that just tells me like this conversation was one for me meant to happen. Two, it was meant for me to honor Dr. J, give her virtual flowers for the women, the families, the community you impact, because that's what it's about, right? We honor folks on this podcast,
Yes.
and there's so many other like shows out there that honors like movie stars, musicians, and all that. And I'm glad they got their shine, but this is about our people from our communities getting their
Mm-hmm.
shine. We're doing real work, heal work every
Mm-hmm.
day. Going to our last question here. And when I wrote this question for you, it really made me think about a conversation we had. And that conversation, you really talked about like just finding Jeanetta. Who's Jeanetta? And that soul searching, that navigating. And I so get that, and I had this poem where I speak about being in school and I'm trying to like learn academically, intelligently, and literally about myself, right? It was all these different things. Now that you're a seasoned veteran, right? You have clarity of life, you have a gang of confidence with that lion behind you. What would you tell your younger self, the girl who felt like she never quite fit in? What would you tell that Jeanetta? What would you tell them about where Jeanetta is right now? If you could do that.
It's okay you don't fit in. You're not meant to fit in. There's greater things for you to do. And you don't need a big circle of people to applaud you. You need to be alone.
Mm.
That aloneness, and being cast out and being told by some people you will never be nothing. You a mama at 17, you ain't never gonna be nothing. You know, you'll never have this, you'll never have this, you'll never have that. It made me say the hell if I won't. I started thinking about people used to tell me, oh, you so smart, you so intelligent. And I never felt it. I was like, I'm struggling, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure I had ADHD because when the teacher would talk, I would be looking out the window because it was like, you're boring. I don't want to hear nothing you talking about. But
Yeah.
because my mother was demanded that I get good grades. But I think I was in corporate America and my boss told me, he said, you too intelligent not to have a degree.
Mm.
Why do I need a degree? So I went to Harold Washington College and took a speech class. I took that speech class and it felt good.
Mm.
So, okay. And then I left one corporate assignment and went to another one, and they had tuition reimbursement. And I would always tell my children about school. So I said, why don't you give it a go, right? I
Hmm.
flubbed through high school. I'm not even gonna say I did a whole, but I'm not. I didn't. When I did go to college, I went for the check, real honest, real transparent. I wasn't trying to go. And then when I finally was old enough and my children had all my children, and I was like, let me try. So I went to finish up my associate's degree and my bachelor's degree, and I was getting straight A's. I was like, what's going on here? I'm kind of smart. But I was studying. I studied. I put in the time. I went to the laundromat to pretend to do laundry just to read my books. I would go to the Walmart and put the book on the cart just to push through and
Mm.
throwing stuff in the basket. Didn't even to read, right?
Mm,
And when I graduated at the top of my class with my bachelor's degree or a business degree, and I had a business degree with a concentration in computer networking because my dad loved all type of electronics. So he would take TVs apart and I would just watch them, right? I figured
mm,
this was something I could do. I know enough to be dangerous. That wasn't really what I wanted to do. But I did that. I was like, wow, okay, this feels kind of good. Then I started realizing that corporate America wasn't going to be my final stop. I said, let me go get this master's degree. I thought I was going to get it in education, and a counselor redirected me to counseling.
mm.
I said, okay, let me try. People always talking to me, telling me their business anyway. Let me see.
Yeah.
I went in and came out with a 3.98 GPA.
Mm.
Was like,
Okay.
I don't know how I did that. I guess I am smart, right? And my sister go, you make it look easy. I say, trust me, it ain't easy. You don't see me at 3 in the morning reading and writing papers. And so I said, okay. And then I would brag to my kids, put my grades on the refrigerator, say, if I can do this, then there's no excuse for you when your job is nothing but going to school, right?
That's
So,
right.
right, my kids was like coming for me. You think you, yeah, I do, and I am. And then I decided 5 years later, if I'm gonna get this doctorate degree, I'm getting a little mature. If I'm gonna get it, let me go ahead and do it. I wouldn't want to go through that hazing
Mm.
process again, but it was all worth it, right?
Yeah.
My confidence kept building. The more I poured into me, the more I realized who I was and what I had to offer. I would wonder why when I would walk in a room, I would get this feeling like, you know how you walk in a room and people like, you get that like, okay, why
Yep.
people, feeling like that? And so my husband would say, you have a presence about you when you walk in a room that
Hmm.
people who are insecure, you make them feel even more insecure. An insecure person makes somebody feel insecure. I never thought about that. So the education was the cherry on top of the ice cream for me.
Mm.
It validated to the world that I was as intelligent as I was beginning to understand who I was, and
Hmm.
beginning to understand the power that I held, and beginning to understand the presence that I have when I walk into the room and how I make some people feel uncomfortable. I don't have to try, it just happens because of my posture and who I am, and that lion that sits behind me, without me even trying. But the thing of
Yeah.
the matter is to stay humble. I don't
Mm.
have to brag and boast. I don't have to. I just have to be. I found out it's okay not to fit in as a young person, because who I am today, I'm glad that I was that awkward person as a
Mm.
young person, and to
Yep.
be the confident person I am. I would not want to be that. I'm glad I went through rejection. I'm glad I went through being told I wasn't this and being told I wasn't that, because it gave me the wherewithal to say, I'm going to prove to me who I am. And
Mm.
once I proved to me who I was, walking side by side with that lion and with me just made sense, to just be me, because if you push me in a corner, she was coming out. And she didn't like to go back in the bottle when she came out. It took her a while to. So, and when
Hmm.
Deborah Clare said I was a fighter, I only fought when I had to.
Yeah.
She didn't want me mad because it just wasn't going to be cute, right? So I don't want to be mad. I don't want to be angry. I want to live in peace, but I want to be very concrete who I am and set my boundaries. And not everybody gets a front seat in my life. And that's not being confident or cocky. That's being wise, wisdom. Everybody don't need a front seat in your life. Everybody
Mm.
don't need to be close to you. When you walk in certain gifts and certain talents, you have to be careful who you let in your life, because not
Mm.
everybody is there to help you.
That's right. That's right. Oh, Dr. J, you dropped a gang of gems on that one right there. And I would have to say that the younger you would be mad proud. I think the younger you would be really proud of the person you've become. Like
I think she is.
that's
I think she's pretty happy with the results, considering
yeah,
everything we went through.
for sure. And even bigger than that, moms is proud as well, right?
Oh my
Got to bring it
goodness.
back. Okay, come on now.
Oh
All
my
right.
goodness. I just wish I could, like when I graduated, I wore my parents' rings, their wedding rings. I have their wedding rings. So when I walked across the stage, I had their rings on, in honor of them because although my mother was my pusher, she pushed me. My daddy was the artistic one who, when I came home crying because the girl said I didn't know how to do the feeling, my daddy
Hmm.
said, "What? Come on, let me show you how to do that dance." My daddy showed me how to do that dance. And my daddy was he was an artist. He had never been to school for art. He could draw anything. He was very creative. So both of my parents helped me be who I am. But because my dad died when I was 13, my mom picked up that mantle and
Yeah.
she pushed me. She poured her everything into me. I can say that. She gave me, not that she didn't give, she gave to my sisters and my brothers, but I am everything my mother could have been had she had the support she needed in her life. An
Mm.
educator she was, an entrepreneur she was, but she just didn't have the support system to support her in doing that stuff. So she made sure I did.
Hmm. And now you're making sure other women are doing it. Like I think
Yes,
it's a circle, right? It's
it
a
is.
circle that's given back and it's given. And that's why we are honoring Dr. J today for Black and Brown Goods and giving you your virtual flowers, sharing our gratitude for the work you've done and you're still doing. I know that you are impacting many lives, and I know that communities are better with Dr. J in them, supporting them. And I just want to acknowledge you. That's what today is about. That's what this segment is about, is acknowledging Dr. J for all the amazing work you've done, for the mother, the grandmother, the professor, the coach, the mentor. I mean, I know I'm a grandma, wife, all the amazing people, all the amazing elements and pieces that bring to Dr. J. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
everything you
you.
do. Thank you for what you're still doing. And I know that I'm going to have you back on a couple more segments. Dr. J ain't going nowhere, but I am so proud to honor you for the month of May, especially for Mental Health Awareness Month. And yeah, I want to give you your last words here because we're at the end of our segment for Black and Brown in the Woods. But just from our podcast to you, gratitude for everything you've done. So last words are on you, Dr. J.
Don't give up on your dream. Don't let your past determine your future. Um, Use the dirt that people are throwing to step on to build the foundation you need to explode in the next stage of your life. Um, I couldn't be who I am today without all of the mess that happened. I couldn't be who I am today without all of the things that made me who I am today. I am stronger because of it. Uh, do I wish I didn't have to go through that? Yeah, of course. But everything, I use it as a catalyst to make me who I am and to help other people so that they don't have to stay in the hole. We can all come out. We can all come out together. I'm all for one in camp. Kumbaya. We sang Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya. Um, if I can if I can be successful, then I have the ability to help somebody else to be
Mhm.
successful. So to my husband, to my children, to my parents and my grandparents and my great grandparents, all those who went before me, they prayed for somebody like me. I'm the answer to their prayers. And I'm glad. It's a heavy mantle to carry, but I'm glad they prayed because I know I'm the answer to those prayers of my forefathers. So I'm grateful to them and my family that support me because I wouldn't be able to do this without my family. First of all, without God, without my family supporting me. And I'm very, very honored and very, very grateful for everything. And I thank you, Mr. Adam, for the gifts that you use in these situations. Very prophetic in what you do and very therapeutic in what you do. Keep using that eye to see, because not everybody sees what you saw today. Not everybody see that. So I'm grateful for you, Mr. Adam.
Sure, for sure. The love is mutual. And of course, you are now part of the Black and Brown in the Woods alum, episode number 5. And you will be seeing Dr. J for the whole month of May, because I will be honoring Dr. J for the entire month, just breaking up some of this episode so you could digest it. But also you can find it on different platforms like Spotify, Amazon, iHeart, and of course, the main platform, YouTube. So thank you, Dr. J, for coming through. Make sure you are going outside to heal inside. And we will see you next month when we honor our alum number 6, y'all. Number 6. Take care of yourselves, because you are the star player. And you know what my last words are. Who's helping you heal, y'all? Peace.